Who were you before you lost your wild self?
That's what we're helping you explore on the Tend Her Wild podcast.
Through questions and tools around how best to listen to your inner voice,
rewild ourselves, and live the most authentic life where we thrive instead of survive.
I'm Betsy.
And I'm Kate.
And we're so glad you've joined us for this episode. Hello, Tend Her Wild podcast listeners. It is a celebratory day because today is our 200th episode.
How is that possible?
Can you believe it?
No, it's shocking.
It's hard to fathom that we've lasted this long, that you all are still listening to us.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We keep doing this because we keep seeing the numbers and we're like, people are actually listening to us.
Yeah.
We have to keep this going.
And the topics and the guests and I get so energized by all of that it feels almost like I'm in a class.
I think you said that so perfectly. I feel like the learning for us has been profound. Yeah. And as we've talked about so many times, this wild woman archetype, she really has come into our lives and continues to work on us. And I think the thing I'm most aware of is that this idea of the wild woman archetype is so deep and so big that we literally could probably talk on this for the next 50 years and just scrape the surface of people's stories about how this sort of wild woman archetype has impacted them. So I'm not sure we'll do this for the next 50 years. That's not what I'm suggesting. Right. However, it's quite amazing how it just keeps presenting itself to us over and over.
Yeah, and the people that reach out and show up and the books we're reading and it's as much as a learning opportunity for us to share with you as it is anything else. And so thank you for listening. And we're so grateful for this community and the women that keep showing up every week and
keep finding us on the street and telling us, oh my gosh, I listened to this episode and it totally changed me.
Yeah. It means so much.
It really does mean so much.
Yeah.
Well, Kate, I have to tell you, I went back and went to our Wild Woman Archetype Bible, which of course is Women Who Run with the Wolves. And this popped out at me. Okay. And I feel like this is so apropos for our 200th episode. The wild woman archetype is woman's deepest nature. The modern woman is a blur of activity. She is pressured to be all things to all people. The old knowing is long overdue.
Wow, does that resonate right now?
Yeah. So I think that this is why this podcast and what we're doing continues to feel really alive for us, because I think we both sense that this old knowing is long overdue. We need to go deeper and under the surface to our truest nature, because this modern woman in these modern times that are so chaotic and fast moving, they're really disconnecting us even more from our truth.
And so much for me is the shift of our modern culture, which is all about doing more.
Yeah.
And the wild woman archetype is so much more about being and how you're showing up and how you're stepping into your power and how you're listening to your inner voice. That being part for me is where I feel personally that I've shifted the most and have found the most, I guess, trusting my inner voice, because I hear all these other women trusting their inner voices, and then it inspires me. Okay, I don't need to look out here for the answers.
Yeah.
I got it right inside me. And so that is a great quote, and it really does sum up.
Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, wow, this is for the 200th episode.
Yeah.
So what we want to do today.
Yeah, we have not shared this, but we have each chosen some of our favorite moments.
Yes. In these last 200.
Yeah. And we're gonna alternate and kind of share with each other. We don't even know if we have overlap. We don't know anything.
Okay, right now, do you think we're gonna overlap?
Probably for one.
You think so? Okay. I was
We'll
thinking too that we're gonna at least get one overlap, but
maybe. We'll see.
We did that with our quotes when we did our quotes episode. We had one overlap.
Yeah. And it was really fun to look back and to see what jumped out at us. And it was also very hard for me to choose. I'm not going to lie. There were so many moments and women and lessons. And so this is going to be really fun.
I'm so excited.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay. I'm going to start with someone actually who's a dear friend that we had on. And she's a fierce advocate for social justice and an unapologetic ally for all communities. She brings fire and empathy to her ministry. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Sarah Gatch. She was on my list too.
I knew she would be.
Okay.
Oh my God, did we have fun with Sarah?
Unbelievable. She blew my mind.
I really struggled with my religion, with my faith. Maybe not faith as much as my religion that I was brought up in, and the church, I guess, just as an idea. And her episode really made me think. I left that feeling hopeful. I felt more autonomy in how I looked at what I needed it to be for me, that it wasn't up to someone else to shape that for me, but I could decide and take what I needed. I loved her story of navigating her divorce and this judgment of the congregation, which I think most women would have walked away with all that kind of shame and guilt.
Would have walked away from the profession of ministry. Yeah.
And she did not.
Nope.
She said she's drawn to the edge. I think she dropped the F-bomb.
I think she did multiple times.
Which I loved.
And in her collar.
And her high boots.
Her high platform boots and this tight skirt and then her collar. It was beautiful.
So I'll just share that my favorite kind of lesson was that organized religion isn't necessarily for all, but can still be a meaningful way to wrestle with love, existence, and eternity. So yeah, I had
a knew it was going to be, and everything you echoed, that is what hit for me too, is this whole reworking of religion and her conversation about how she loves to talk to people and she's good at talking to people about how religion has harmed them. And
she doesn't shy away from it.
She does not shy away from it. And the biggest aha moment for me was that she doesn't believe that we have to convert other people or take them onto, if you're a Christian, you have to make sure other people become that too. Like her husband is an atheist. She shared that. She really encourages people. This is a one-to-one relationship with you and your God. And that was the biggest breath of fresh air. I mean, both of us walked away from that conversation blown away.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard that one,
Sarah Gatch, it's episode 172. Sarah, we love you. Thank you for changing Kate and I, and I'm sure many people who listen to that episode.
All right. So we've each done one. What else? You go next.
Okay. So I am going to cheat a little bit because I'm going to put 3 different guests together in one category.
Okay.
So as you know, when we started this podcast, I had just separated from my spouse. Like it was like fresh, like a week in or something like that. And now at episode 200, I'm in the middle of a divorce. But there were, it was a windy road and there was getting back together and working on stuff separately and together. And it was a very, important road. But throughout the course of these 200 episodes, there were many women that had been divorced that spoke about some of their experience. And I just listened and took it all in. And you and I have joked many times, Kate is kicking me under the table or just looking at me with her big eyes like, are you listening, Betsy? So I'm so grateful to these women, and each of them gave me something different. So the first one was Sasha Schmid, who now is Sasha Boros. And this was like early in the episodes. She talked about, was just going through a divorce herself and said, it's kind of like the universe will push you to the edge of the cliff and encourage you to jump. And essentially, she had said, I'm here. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm edging closer every single
And it
day.
was
So
very fresh for
it
her.
was very fresh. And to see the courage that she had getting to the edge of the cliff and being willing to jump, I think really cemented itself in
Mhm.
my own heart and mind. And then the second guest was Liz Lynn's,
Oh
episode
god, such a fan.
103. Liz was so unapologetic and wild
Yeah, and had written a whole book on it.
and had written an entire book about how the foundation of Western marriage is a political institution and it's not designed to make women happy. And it's based on the fundamental inequality of women. And so many women are in unhappy marriages. I mean, with all this data and all this background. And I remember that episode was like in the space when I was really trying to make my marriage work.
Yeah.
But hearing all of this, I was like, oh my goodness. But the real turning point was when Liz got to the part about how freedom feels amazing and how she has parties at her house and they're drinking whiskey out of the mugs and the kids are fine. And that she doesn't want her kids to grow up and be anything like her. She wants them to be who they are. And it meant that she needed to be who she was. And
She took him on that trip.
she took him on a trip. She lives in what she called the gayborhood because she's like, I've got all these friends and all these single queer women who live on my street. And my kids are like, why would you ever want to get married? You have all your best friends on the street. So just her, uh, just the way she viewed it and
Mhm.
just the unabashed, non-apologetic way that
Right.
she was moving through it was.
Creating a new life.
And her personality structure is so different than mine, but there were still so many moments of like, oh my gosh, this woman is speaking directly to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a lot of fire, a lot of fun, and had some humor, that just yeah, I really enjoyed that episode. And that was kinda I remember making eye contact with you on
Yeah.
that one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was striking.
Yeah.
And she was someone that had come out the other side, and so you were, seeing someone at the beginning of
Yeah.
the process and then someone who had built this whole new life.
Yeah. And I'm realizing that after speaking to Liz on that day, I thought to myself, someday I'm going to find her and meet her and be like, hey, that episode was really foundational for me. And by the way, I'm out of my marriage now. And that hasn't happened yet, but I remember thinking about it on that
Really?
day.
Well,
Yeah.
we're telling her now.
So, and then the last person was Nina Lohman, episode
Mhm.
122. And Nina was not there to talk about divorce. She's there to talk about chronic pain and her
Mhm.
relationship to her pain. But she said one thing about her divorce, which just again feels like it got embedded in my soul. And I thought about it multiple times after we talked. She really was speaking of this deep respect for her former husband. As she was writing her book, she, in fact, had him read the
Yeah.
section about him and said, is this correct? Is this true? And they had this whole conversation about it. And the way she talked about when they presented to their kids is, we're going to have two houses now. We're going to be one of those families that has two houses.
Mhm.
And I thought, that's how I'm going to talk to my kids
I
about this.
remember you
Yeah.
pointing that out.
Yeah.
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 They worked very hard to make the process to jointly kind of create that expectations for their kids, understanding with their kids, and yeah, she was very matter of fact, but she has such a softness and beauty to
Yeah.
her that
Yeah.
really came through. It was just what was going to happen,
Exactly.
and
And because she was so calm
mhm,
and it was so clear that they had worked through how to co-parent and be good co-parents, it was such a, it gave me a sign that this is possible.
yeah,
And so thank you, Nina, because I needed that at that moment. Okay, so that was my 3 and 1.
okay,
Sorry I cheated a
no,
little bit there, but they all
yeah,
seemed tied together.
put them together for sure. Okay, so My next one will not surprise you because I was blown away how the connection came about, but it was Maddie Corman's episode,
Mm.
Accidentally Brave. And at the time, her special was on HBO called Accidentally Brave. And it was a story about betrayal and addiction and marriage and love and all of those things. And um, and you and I had watched it together.
In your basement,
Yes, we both.
cried.
It was such a raw one woman story. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch it. But I think what jumped out at me most was it's not a story we hear very often, which is staying in the marriage
Yep.
and making it work.
Yep.
But then also her talking about how hard it was for her to get someone to make it and to get it on air.
Yep.
And so she found Kristen Haigh, who helped produce it, right? Which we also interviewed and loved. So she finds another woman, and this is the wild woman too. It's like, no, this story needs to be told. And she kept having people tell her that. She did not give up either. Perseverance in a lot of these guests we've had.
Yes.
They just know internally, like, this is something we have to do. And so she made it happen, but then she couldn't get it picked up by anyone.
Because they wanted her to leave her husband. Everyone said,
They said either
if you would have
kill him
left your husband,
or kill
then
him.
we would pick this up or killed him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then someone
But
would.
the ending of you
Mhm.
forgive and you work through it and you do the hard labor to make
Yeah.
this marriage work. No, it's not very sexy.
No. So there was she delivered something that had not really been a story that had not really been told in that way, in such a beautiful, dramatic way, and raw and real way that I don't know that I've watched something where it was like, just like, wow. I shared it with lots of my friends and they had the same reaction. There was something about that. And having one woman tell her story like that on stage alone, kind of reliving it,
Yeah.
the pain of it, she didn't sugarcoat any of it. And so it made me realize how important it is that women are stepping up all over the place to make sure these stories get told.
Yeah.
And that they get heard.
And even if you're told, oh, we don't like that story, or that story's not going to sell, or that story's not going to be popular, the importance of still telling it because it's your story. Everyone's story counts.
Right. So,
yeah.
Shout out to Maddie Corman.
Yeah. And Maddie, we're going to also shout out. We've been talking about wanting to do an event with her. And so we're going to see if we can get her back and do an event on betrayal trauma because it's such an under discussed concept. And yet everyone has some form of betrayal by someone in their life. And so how to work through that, I think is really powerful. And she's such a voice for that.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Well, this is perfect because my next one is Kristen Haigh. Yeah, we wish she knew.
I knew that one would be there for you.
All right. So Kristen Haigh was episode 154. And you've heard me speak of this if you listen to that episode, but the reason I was so blown away by this episode was just it totally cemented my belief in synchronicity and manifestation, and that what you desire can come to you if you're open to it. So many months before meeting Kristen, I'd listened to a podcast with her, the Robcast.
You told me about
where she talked about the heroine's journey. And I was like, oh my gosh, this woman is amazing. We speak the same language. I need to meet her. We need to have her on the podcast. There was no website attached to her name. I couldn't find her name. She's got a hard spelling of her name. So I gave up. And literally, I think it was almost 9 months later, which is also a lesson of sometimes it takes the universe some time to work out what it needs to bring us. She walked into my yoga studio on a Tuesday morning. She didn't know me. I didn't know her. She took the class. She was in town to produce a show. And we started chatting afterwards. And through the series of conversation, I realized, oh my gosh, you're the one I wanted to talk to about the heroine's journey. And so she came on our podcast the next day. And then I've had a lot of contact with her since. And in fact, she's going to co-teach this next retreat with me.
Yeah.
And yeah, it still blows my mind how this all came to be, how this New York based producer, Broadway producer shows up in Iowa City, Iowa at Heartland Yoga.
And
It's
and since then she's come back for things and we're like,
come back.
lunch.
Yep. She came back for another production and we all hung out outside and had this beautiful lunch. And there's also the piece about like the resonance of, I think we can all relate to that. You just have a certain depth of resonance with certain people.
Yeah.
And when you meet someone like that, it's undeniable. And even if you've been raised in completely different states or countries, when you meet someone and you're meant to meet, you know it. It's like, boom.
This person is supposed to be in my life.
Yes. And then I do think that like that connection that I had with Kristen, she was the one who told us about Maddie.
Yes.
And then you had this depth of connection with Maddie that kind of blew your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, the interconnectivity of all of us. And
both very creative women. Which also
and at the top of their game, creative women.
So and she's such her book's about creativity, Kristen's book.
Yeah.
And that to me, I'm seeing that so much in women coming out right now. And so the feminine and creativity and how she talks about it is so inspiring as we talk about women building things and creating things. And so her energy around that topic too, for me is just so good.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kristen.
Yes. Okay. So my next one is, I'm going to say was the live podcast we did at Christmas time, holiday time, with Danny Whirl. At Revival.
The medium, the live readings.
And it was very last minute, if you remember.
Totally last minute. It
was like
we turned it around. Yeah.
Let's do this. And Sheila at Revival, shout out to Sheila. She's so amazing. She's like, we can make this work. I've got a little pop-up shop. And so we were in a retail space and Danny comes walking in. Do you remember she had that beautiful blazer on? I think it was bright red. And she walks in and we didn't even know who would show up. I mean, we didn't sell tickets. We were just like, come. But the women that were supposed to be there were in that room.
Yeah. And it was intimate. It was an intimate group.
And so the women got the messages they needed. There were tears. I mean, of course I was crying, but everyone got what they needed that day. And there was such a connection in that room. It was beautiful. I don't know that I've ever experienced that kind of light that just felt like it was shining down and women left there with information and just a sense of, I had several women tell me afterward, I got what I needed. I needed that. And they walked out and they felt different and it moved everybody. It was just a beautiful experience, I thought.
Yeah, they were these little mini readings and a woman would just be up there and Danny would tap into their energy and give them like a big drop of information. Yeah. And you're right. I think almost everyone universally that was up in the hot seat cried.
Yeah. It was really something. So shout out to Danny.
Shout out to Danny. All right. Well, this is a good through line because my next one is Jeanette Bureau. Oh, yeah. Another medium psychic who we had on, who had a near-death experience. This is episode 180. And oh my goodness, I found her online and reached out and she said yes. But there were two things that stood out about this conversation. The first one was a story she told about when she was a teenager. She grew up knowing she had some gifts, but not really understanding them. And she's in her room in high school folding the laundry, and she hears a very distinct, clear voice out in the hall that says, "Jeanette, look out in the hall." And she was freaked out. She was like, oh my God, where's that voice coming from? It was a low masculine voice. And she looks out in the hall and she sees essentially like a spirit who's wearing like army fatigues, is this big strapping male kind of energy, but that her cat is sitting right in front of it, looking up at it, and its tail is wagging. And it was her moment of like, oh, wow, I'm not crazy. Like my cat sees this, like my cat senses and sees this energy. Like I'm not making this stuff up. And then I remember after that, we were like, who was the
Well, right.
guy?
Well, what? Yeah.
And she went on to tell us it was one of her spirit guides who she has this relationship with now, and they have conversations, and he's been a big teacher to her. So that story was really amazing. And then her other story about having this near-death experience, and there's a big blueprint. She goes to the other side. She goes to heaven. She's in this white room. There's this big blueprint of her life. And that, sort of this idea that our life is kind of planned out before we come into these bodies, but that we also have free will. So things can change and shift. It's sort of like a working blueprint. And then she had this option about, well, you can be done. We'll give you a heart attack and you won't be revived. Or, you can go back. And what she had to agree to was if she went back, she had to step up. She had been doing this work as a medium in kind of a more underground way, and she had to step up and become more public facing and really get her work out there. And so she's done that. And she just was so inspiring. She was down to earth. She was real. She was not woo woo. She was like so normal.
Most beautiful voice.
Yes, but has such a gift. And so, yeah, there's something about that really moved me very deeply.
I loved her. Okay, my next one is Ren's episode.
Oh, Ren, our good friend Ren.
That one for me, it's a fairly recent episode, but I've been watching, and I'm obviously we're both raising two boys. This whole idea about masculinity right now, and that feels to kind of be this question in the air. What's it supposed to be? What's it supposed to look like? How do you raise boys right now with, kind of this, manosphere and bro culture and all these things that are kind of coming at them? And, you've, I don't know. It's a topic that kind of keeps me up a little bit. And so his way of talking about kind of expanding the box of masculinity, do you remember that?
Yes.
Instead
Instead
of
of it being a box.
Yeah, just letting it be. It's more about being human, what kind
Yeah.
of human you wanna be,
Yeah.
and it really was a light switch for me that that is what we need. We need conscious humans,
Mm.
right? We have this battle between the sexes, or this idea that, and maybe that's not really what the world is calling for right now. And so I talk to my boys now a lot about, like, the kind of human you are, and not buying
Mm.
into that there's one way for you to show up in the world. You have to also know yourself. And so, anyway, I think expanding that definition, and then the importance of permission giving among men. So,
Yes, I
remember that?
remember that.
Yeah.
Permission to cry,
Yeah.
permission to be vulnerable.
Yeah. And and he had that experience young. I love, the meaning of his name being Lotus, and like the fact that his mom had to get the name registered
In
in
Japan, and then it
Japan when he was
became a
born.
popular name like a decade later
Yeah.
thanks to her, yeah.
Yeah, and that, she was the strong wild woman. That struck me too. He was raised by a strong
Very
wild woman
strong wild woman.
who took him along on her journey of being an advocate, protesting, being a feminist. And so how that kind of all informed his life experience, and kind of how he showed up for the world then, working with people. So anyway, shout out to Ren. I thought it was a wonderful
Yeah.
episode. We don't get a lot of men, and so that one to me was
Yeah, it also makes me wonder about, having more conversations with men, because the ones we have had have been deeply
yeah.
profound. We've had, I think he's our fourth or our fifth
Yeah.
man. And so, yeah, guests, let us know if you, or listeners, let us know if you'd want more
Yeah.
men on the podcast. Okay, do you have one more?
I have one more.
Yeah, I have one more too. Okay, so my last one that has had a really powerful impact on me is Marianne Williamson.
Mm.
And we've interviewed her twice. We interviewed her early on episode 16, and then we interviewed her later on episode 94, both at were they both live? No,
No,
one
when
was
was that?
only live. I have read so many of her books and had been such
Mhm.
a avid student of hers for so long, but upon meeting her, seeing just her humanity, she's just this like petite little woman, but she's got so much fire and so much presence and so much courage to speak up. I mean, she's
Yes.
certainly been shunned by the media, by lots of naysayers, and she just kind of keeps going. And one of the things she said during our podcast that I want to read back, which as I re listened to this episode, it spoke so deeply again to me. She said, "We have power that the vast majority of women in this world do not have." So she's speaking to
Mhm.
us Western women. And if we really want to talk about being wild, raise hell. Support, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. Say no, resist, be part of movements, support women candidates. There's a fierceness that's being required of us. The goddess is fierce.
Mm. And that was several years ago.
Yeah, this was before, I think, the reelection of our current president.
Yeah, and she was
So
running
she
for
was running for
press at the
president.
time.
Yeah, she was still in the running.
Yeah, that feels so resonant today too, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
That's kind of
yeah.
the era we're in, I think.
There's a fierceness that's required us. The last thing she said that day, too, is nothing is more of a trigger to the patriarchy than a confident woman.
Boy, I feel that right now.
Hmm.
I feel that in the ether that's that there's an attempt to tamp
Yep.
down
To
and
shake us in our boots.
yep,
And
keep us
she's such a, and she continues to be,
force.
she continues to not be shut down or scared, no
Yeah.
matter how much she gets bullied, no matter how much she gets made fun of. She remains, I think, really value driven and true to her belief system. And she just keeps putting out her
Mhm.
messages on social media and wherever she can be heard. And so I just have a really deep respect and love for her as a powerful woman. She's had a really profound impact on me.
Yeah. Well, the honor of being able to interview her twice and learn from her and with a live audience. I remember that day so well and how I mean, it was kinda like a mic drop. You remember? I mean, she gave us so much wisdom, and so, yeah, I wanna tune back into that one
Yeah.
again because
Yeah.
I feel like
It's
that was
powerful.
almost a prophet saying, "Here's what we're gonna need."
And I've always said this about Marianne. I feel like she's ahead of her times.
Yeah.
I feel like she's several decades ahead of her time. So I do think someday historians may look back and be like, oh, this woman knew what she was talking about, but we
Mhm.
just weren't ready for it yet. So,
Yeah. So my last one is also well, I first have to say I'm gonna kinda do 2 here,
okay.
like you did. There's 3 messages that I grabbed onto from 3 different guests that I think the world needs more of right now.
Okay. Great.
Ophira Eisinger,
Oh, yeah. She was
we need
amazing.
more laughter
Yes.
and in the world, and she even though her story is,
Tragic.
tragic and it's trauma
So
laden
much loss and trauma. Yeah.
yeah, and grief, but she brings laughter through it all, and so shout out to her.
She's hilarious. Yes.
Kristen, again, that's the creativity piece I already
Kristen
spoke of.
Hagee.
We need
Yeah.
more creativity from women, and the last one is Lindsay Scott.
Oh,
We need more music. We need more
yes.
song. And she really
Community.
and in community.
Yes.
Yes. So, those 3 jumped out at me.
Mm.
And along the lines of Lindsay, my last episode I wanted to share was our Minneapolis episode, which we had 2 guests, and we even are protecting their identities, because of that time. But I wanna honor them because what that episode did was it was in the moment of a very trying time that we will look back on in history, and it was 2 women's perspectives and experience in that time. And I believe holding space for that was incredibly important.
Yeah.
And I honor them for being willing to share that. One, obviously, a woman that was a helper and in community, doing art and food delivery and protection and trying to help when ICE agents were in Minneapolis. And then the other, the story of an immigrant
Yeah.
who was living, trying not to live in fear, but it was there. And, there was this message that she shared, the second guest. She said, anything rooted in fear, greed, or selfishness cannot last. And that when justice is destroyed, it will be reborn.
Mm.
And you know how I feel about justice. So for me, that gave me hope. It made me proud to be a woman because I think women step up in hard times and we know what needs to happen, what needs to be done. And those women organized and supported and in their own ways and used their gifts. And so, yeah, that was a really powerful episode
Mm.
for me.
Beautiful. So deep gratitude to all the people who make this podcast possible, our podcast company, our amazing producer, Nell. We couldn't do this without you. And then all the guests that keep saying yes, that keep showing up. And then the friends of ours who say, you got to talk to this person, or have you considered this person, or have you read this book? It just kind of keeps this network going. And also deep gratitude to Clarissa Pinkola Estes, whose brainchild Women Who Run with the Wolves continues to be an inspiration to us, continues to feed our souls, and is really the heart of this podcast.
It is.
So thank you, Dr. Estes.
Yes, we honor you. And listeners, we would love to keep doing this. So
maybe 200 more. We'll see.
Share these episodes, give us feedback, reach out, give us a review. That all kind of keeps things moving for us. So again, gratitude to all of you listeners and gratitude to you, Betsy. This has been such a fun ride.
It's been a wild ride, Kate.
It has.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. Come back and rewild with us again next week.